Hey guys, what's up? How y'all doing? I'm here to talk to you guys about the new episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes on episode 5. This episode right here, we get to see a couple reveals, not to reveals, maybe two I think, maybe one or two, depending on your situation. And we got to see a new character in action, so if anything else, let's just get this started right away. We get to see Koichi's backstory a bit, where he tried to get a girl or some friends to like come over to his place, but it was kind of in a situation where it's a little abandoned, and he kind of became a rumor about being a sketchy guy. Eventually, when Koichi thinks about those times, he thinks about the present of how he has Knuckle Duster and Pop Step in his place and enjoying himself. Eventually, we get to see Popstep and Koichi talking with each other about what happened with Koichi, how he wanted to be a hero one time, but he became late to the exams and he couldn't make it on time. Because he ends up saving a little girl from, like, drowning, I believe, and he thought it was a boy at first, but what he doesn't know is that the person he saved was actually Popstep herself when she was very young. By that time, she goes back home and realizes that he actually has a lot of, when she realizes that he has a lot of crazy limited edition jackets or sweaters that he likes to keep. She ends up realizing that he's missing one from the Silver Age, I believe, and that's when All Might had one. And that's when that's when Koichi, who saved her in that backstory, gave it to her to like warm up. By that time, she wanted to give back the sweater to him and talk to him and thank him for saving her or helping her. But unfortunately, Knuckle Duster is there, and she gets very embarrassed about it, and she decides to leave right away, which is really freaking hilarious. But other than that, we get to see a villain trigger guy having to cause some trouble, and he's given another drug trigger again and causing trouble once again. Koichi and Popset are the only ones that are able to like hold them off. Well, Koichi is the only one that's able to hold them off for the time being, and ends up having to like stop him from Koichi's trying to stop him from rampaging. While Popset is trying to call the cops, we get to see that Koichi was about to get himself possibly killed or knocked unconscious by the same guy who had the trigger cork drug, and he's using it again. But we get to see someone showing up, and it's the same guy that showed up at the beginning of the episode where he took down or possibly killed a crazy villain or so. And he ends up trying to fight on this guy and push him back. And eventually when the cops are showing up, the villain decides to escape. We get to see that he introduces himself to Koichi as Stendhal, like he's a meddler like himself, and says, hey, we'll meet again later, so see ya. Until next time. And we get to see Stendo having to make his escape or run away by doing crazy acrobatics and some crazy wall jumping. Yeah. Other than that, we get to see that someone actually wants to meet Popstep and Koichi. And the funny thing is, we get to see it's the same guy that wants to meet them is Spike, the guy with the blue hair and the one that punked around Koichi and wants to kick his butt whatsoever. He says, what are you doing here? What do you want? Yeah, dude, what the heck do you want? And the guy's like, you know what? Forget it, man. Why do I even bother trying to talk to you if you don't really like me at all? So I don't know what the guy's deal is, but it looks like he wanted to talk to. It looked like the guy who who was punking around Koichi and Popstep wanted to have a little small talk with them. Maybe, I don't know, something important or something like that. But we get to see that the same guy that's been the villain of this in this episode, the same old villain that had a trigger cork, he ends up getting attacked by Stendhal and gets one of his eyes blinded, and ends up having to get ready to kill him. Which apparently he ends up doing so anyway after possibly slicing him with the katana and saying, hey man, you're doing a lot of crazy stupid criminal ideals, so you don't deserve to be here, and ends up cutting off an arm, and I think he ends up killing him. You're just a freaking like nobody. You and by that time, he ends up saying, okay, one down. Now is this guy. And he's looking at the picture of the guy who who's punking around Koichi, the guy with the spikes on his fist whatsoever, and the girl who's doing the part-time job as a villain and being the B quirk user ends up saying, you look very interesting, and the episode ends off there. Preview of next episode, it looks like to me things are about to get very, very hectic depending on the situation. So don't know how it's gonna turn out, but it's not gonna be very good. Well, depending on the situation. depending on how it is. But next episode is called Crossing Lines. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next video or so. I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. All right. Peace out. Bye bye. Ta-ta-da!